when I talk to Novak Djokovic, the man is so inspiring. On the court, after he won the match, he said, I want to give good values to my children. I want to be able to inspire the next generation. He said, believe it, create it, achieve it. And then when I asked him what he learned about himself over the past 2 weeks, because I said, listen, what you said on court was magical. But what did you learn about yourself? He said, it's a great question. He said, energy flows where attention goes. I'm going to say that one more time. Energy flows where attention goes. And I'm like, mind blown, right? Because I that makes complete sense. I totally believe in that. And where you put your energy and where you put your attention, that stuff combines. When I moved here to LA 8 years ago now, I didn't have, contracts or jobs signed up, but I believed. I was like, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do.
Totally get that.
Now I'm hanging out with the three of you all on the Rich Eisen Show.
Where else would you rather be?
Dreams do come true.
You know what I'm saying?
That kind of encapsulates all of us.
From Paris to El Segundo.
You what?
From Paris to El Segundo, baby.
They're very similar in not a lot of ways.
I think that's really interesting what you said about what the statistics say and how someone makes you feel. That's really interesting when you talk about greatest of all time debates, or we're debating top 5 or top 10s. You look at the NBA, the whole Jordan and LeBron thing. Statistically, LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. But for people of our era, we're all kind of the same age here. Michael Jordan made us feel a certain way because our eyes do not lie what we see on TV, right, TJ? And so, you're debating all this stuff like Tom Brady is the greatest of all time statistically. He does make me feel a certain way because I'm a New England fan, but your eyes might tell you that Aaron Rodgers was a better quarterback, played the position better, or Patrick Mahomes is on his way to playing the position better, and maybe he might be the greatest of all time. It's a very interesting way of looking at it that I never thought before. So thank you for bringing that up. And I think tennis-wise, yes, Roger Federer made us all feel a certain way. I think for maybe our generation, Pete Sampras made us feel a certain way, and we thought he was the greatest we'd ever seen, yet he never won the French Open. And statistically, Djokovic is the greatest of all time, but he makes people feel a certain way sometimes in the negative because of how he acts, his demeanor, his whole anti-vaccine stance, whatever side you feel about that can make you feel a certain way. And it's a very interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, because, at the end of the day, not everybody has the same opinion. And there's a reason for that, because statistically, there is no more argument. He has now surpassed both Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal statistically in virtually every category. You can't deny it. The stats don't lie. So he is the GOAT statistically. But that legacy, that emotional, subjective quality is not always going to be that case. And there are millions of people, believe me, when I tweet out that Novak Djokovic, and I believe he's the greatest athlete on the planet right now. The greatest athlete on the planet right now. Bar none, in my opinion. The individual aspect of the sport, what he's doing at his age, the physicality, and then you factor in the mental strength that he has as well. There's nobody that touches him, in my opinion, right now. Greatest athlete on the planet.
Yeah, you were looking at that final, the championship match. The first set, I think, took, an hour and 20 minutes? And you're like, wow, if this thing goes 5, they're going to be playing for 6.5 hours. I couldn't imagine doing anything that long, let alone something as grueling as one-on-one individual tennis at the highest of highest levels. And, I think you're right. I mean, that's a good debate.
Well, if we're just going to talk about how they made you feel, then I'm sorry, he's never given me the feeling that Andre Agassi did. Because for my era, that guy, when I was much younger, it was Boris Becker. Because I can remember going, wait a minute, this dude's 17 and he's winning Wimbledon. And then Agassi came along with all the flash and the headbands and the colorful, tennis attire and the sneakers. And you couldn't tell me Agassi wasn't the greatest. And it kind of made me dislike Pete Sampras a little bit because that was a hurdle that Andre didn't seem like he could get over. And even though Pete, I think most people would agree, was the better player, I always held it against Pete because it was like he was impeding Andre's progress for him to be the greatest. So yeah, the how they make you feel argument does get brought in a lot. People get caught up in their feelings, right? When it comes to discussing
all the feels,
who's the best and who you like the most.
And I'm with you. I'm an Agassi guy. So I grew up, it was Pete and Andre. And to me, I resonated with Andre. Everything that he did on and off the court, I thought was so cool. So Agassi to me is my favorite tennis player of all time. That doesn't make him the greatest tennis player of all time, because when you have 8 majors and then you have, even with Pete, 14, right? But now 23, it's tough to argue with those numbers. That said, he's still my favorite.
Yeah.
The minute that he followed me on Twitter and Instagram, those were moments in my life. and I still check to this day. Like, I'll be like, let's see if Andre still, because he doesn't follow a lot of people, right?
That's
so
funny.
I'm like, does he still follow me? Oh, he does. All right.
The idea of like your heroes now knowing who you are is just the craziest thing ever.
So
Especially
cool
for us in this world now. Like, oh, so-and-so, they'll recognize me. That's incredible. I had your poster on my wall when I was a kid.
Yeah, that is
100%.
saying something, man, because even though I'm not 100% sure that they would remember my name, I know for a fact that if I went somewhere and I saw Deion Sanders or Michael Irvin or Troy Aikman or Stone Cold Steve Austin, they might not be like, hey, TJ, but they'd be like, yeah.
That guy.
That dude, I know you.
That kind of makes you go, oh, man, like, I can't believe
It's
this,
wild.
know?
It's wild.
It's awesome.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.